There are moments in celebrity culture that never make the news. No headlines, no press releases, no viral videos, but they ripple through the industry like silent earthquakes. Moments that shift alliances, break trust, and expose the fragile balance between public image and private reality. And one of those moments happened last weekend, deep in the wooded hills of North Georgia, at Angela Simmons' secluded wellness estate. A place meant for peace, healing, and sisterhood. A sanctuary. A retreat from the noise, or so everyone thought. Because behind the gates of that luxury compound, something unfolded that wasn't planned, wasn't announced, and wasn't ready for the world. GloRilla arrived for a girls' weekend of meditation and restoration, only to discover that Yo Gotti, the man at the center of one of the most tense, unspoken feuds in modern hip-hop, was already there, welcome like family, grilling the backyard as if nothing was wrong. And she had no idea, no warning, no heads up. Nothing. Just the cold, hard reality of walking into a space where she suddenly felt like the outsider, not because of anything she did, but because the rules had changed without her consent. To understand why this moment was so explosive, we have to go deeper than gossip. We have to look at the invisible currents that run beneath celebrity friendships, the alliances, the loyalties, the silent wars. For over a year, tension has simmered between GloRilla and Yo Gotti, not through direct attacks, but through silence, subliminals, and the kind of subtle power plays that define modern rap politics. Once seen as part of the CMG family, GloRilla's meteoric rise came with independence, bold fashion, fearless lyrics, and collaborations that some interpreted as distancing herself from her roots. Yo Gotti, the label head and Memphis rap legend, responded not with disses, but with distance. No features, no public endorsements, just a quiet withdrawal of support. In the world of hip-hop, that's louder than any diss track. And over time, fans began to read between the lines. Was it business? Was it personal? Either way, the message was clear: the bond had broken. Meanwhile, Angela Simmons, daughter of Reverend Run, entrepreneur, wellness advocate, and longtime bridge between hip-hop and holistic living, has built her estate into a celebrity sanctuary. No paparazzi, no social media, just curated weekends of meditation, sound baths, journaling, and low-key bonding. It's become a go-to escape for women in the industry, a place to recharge away from the spotlight. So when Angela extended an invitation to GloRilla for a healing sisterhood retreat, just a few close friends, no men, no business, just peace, it felt like a gift. After months of non-stop touring, media scrutiny, and being at the center of fan wars, GloRilla accepted. She saw it as a reset, a chance to breathe, to reconnect with herself, to step away from the persona and just be. And Angela promised total privacy. No phones, no drama, just healing. But what GloRilla didn't know, what no one in her camp was told, was that Yo Gotti had already been invited. Not as a guest of honor, not as a performer, but as a family guest. Because this weekend wasn't just about Angela's circle, it was also her mother's birthday. A private, intimate celebration, and Yo Gotti? He's had a long-standing, quiet relationship with the Simmons family. Not romantic, not public, but rooted in mutual respect, business ties, and years of behind-the-scenes support. When Angela's mom asked for a few special people to be there, people who've been there through thick and thin, Yo Gotti's name was on the list, and Angela, believing this was a family event, didn't see the conflict. To her, it wasn't a hip-hop feud. It was two artists existing in the same world. Why wouldn't both be welcome? But to GloRilla, it was a different story. She arrived Friday evening in a relaxed linen set, her hair in soft braids, no makeup, carrying a tote with crystals and a journal. She thought she was walking into a safe space, a sisterhood. But as she stepped out of the car, her eyes landed on the backyard, and there he was. Yo Gotti, standing by the grill, laughing with Russell Simmons Jr. wearing a white tee, dreads pulled back, completely at ease. The air shifted. Her smile faded. Her body tensed. She didn't scream. She didn't walk away. She just stood there, frozen, realizing in that moment that she had walked into a situation she wasn't prepared for. A situation where the power balance had shifted before she even entered the room. And the worst part? No one had told her. Not Angela, not her assistant, not even her manager. In the world of celebrity logistics, details get lost. Assumptions are made. But this wasn't a detail. This was a boundary, and it had been crossed. She didn't cause a scene. She didn't confront him. But behind closed doors, sources say she called her manager in disbelief. Did Angela know he was coming? The answer? Yes, and she didn't think it was a big deal. It's a family thing, she reportedly said. He's not here for drama. But to GloRilla, his presence was the drama. Not because she feared him, not because she was angry, but because she felt unseen. In a space meant for healing, she had been placed in a position of emotional vulnerability, forced to navigate a silent war without warning. And in the world of hip-hop, especially for women, that kind of oversight isn't just a mistake. It's a message. Dinner that night was heavy, not loud, not explosive, but painfully quiet. GloRilla sat at one end of the table, Yo Gotti at the other. Angela tried to keep things light, talking about energy alignment, manifestation, and self-love. But every joke fell flat. Every laugh felt forced. At one point, someone mentioned Memphis. GloRilla stiffened. Yo Gotti took a long sip of water. The room went silent. No one spoke for nearly a minute. Later, sources say GloRilla pulled Angela aside. Not in anger, but in quiet pain. "You know what's been going on," she said. "You know how it feels to walk into a space and feel unsafe. Why wouldn't you tell me?" And Angela, reportedly, was stunned. She didn't see it as a threat. She didn't see it as a feud. To her, it was just two artists in the same world. No need to treat it like a war zone. However, GloRilla picked up the phone and called Angela Simmons in a rage, demanding to know, "Why are you manipulating Yo Gotti? Why are you controlling him? It wasn't planned. It wasn't recorded. It wasn't for show." But in that moment, a private emotional explosion ripped through the fragile peace between two of hip-hop's most influential women and exposed the invisible strings pulling at the heart of one of the genre's most mysterious relationships. This isn't just about drama. It's about power, perception, and the quiet ways women in the industry are pitted against each other, not by choice, but by circumstance. To understand why that call happened, we have to go deeper than headlines. We have to look at the silent war that's been brewing beneath the surface, not between rappers, but between the women orbiting them. For over a year, tension has simmered between GloRilla and Yo Gotti. Not through direct attacks, but through silence, subliminals, and the kind of subtle power plays that define modern rap politics. Once seen as part of the CMG family, GloRilla's rise came with independence, bold lyrics, fearless interviews, and collaborations that some interpreted as distancing herself from her roots. Yo Gotti, the label head and Memphis rap legend, responded not with disses, but with distance. No features, no public support, just a quiet withdrawal. In the world of hip-hop, that's louder than any subliminal. And over time, fans began to read between the lines. The bond was broken. But here's what most people didn't see. Behind the scenes, Angela Simmons became a quiet but powerful presence in Yo Gotti's life. Not romantically, not officially, but through a series of private events, wellness retreats, and mutual connections in the spiritual and entrepreneurial world, the two grew closer. Angela, known for her work in mindfulness, crystal healing, and energy alignment, began inviting Yo Gotti to exclusive events, silent retreats, meditation circles, even private dinners with thought leaders. At first, it seemed innocent, just networking, just healing. But as the months passed, patterns emerged. Yo Gotti started speaking differently, slower, more introspective, using terms like energy, vibration, and alignment. He canceled meetings last minute, citing spiritual recalibration. He stopped engaging in industry drama. And when GloRilla reached out for a potential collaboration, something fans had been begging for, the response was vague. "He's in a different space right now," she was told. "He's focusing on his inner journey." At first, GloRilla brushed it off. Artists evolve, minds shift. But then came the weekend at Angela's estate, the so-called healing retreat, where GloRilla arrived expecting peace, only to find Yo Gotti already there, welcomed like family, grilling in the backyard as if nothing was wrong. And she hadn't been told. No warning, no heads up. Just the cold reality of walking into a space where she suddenly felt like the outsider. She stayed, she didn't cause a scene. But sources say she left that weekend feeling not healed, but hunted, like the rules had changed without her consent. And when she later found out that Angela had been the one encouraging Yo Gotti to step back from the noise, even suggesting he limit contact with certain artists to protect his energy, something inside her snapped. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. In the world of hip-hop, especially for women, influence isn't always loud. It's quiet, subtle. hidden behind wellness, spirituality, and sisterhood. And GloRilla began to see a pattern. Angela wasn't just a friend. She was a gatekeeper, a guide, a woman who, through meditation circles and private conversations, was reshaping how Yo Gotti saw the world and who was in it. And GloRilla? She wasn't on the list. She was being framed, not as a rival, but as a negative vibration. A source of drama energy. A woman whose presence could disrupt his peace. That's when the call happened. Late one night, after a long studio session. After another email from Yo Gotti's team saying he wasn't ready to collaborate. GloRilla picked up the phone, not to his manager, not to a lawyer, but to Angela Simmons. And when Angela answered, calm, serene, probably wrapped in a silk robe, GloRilla didn't hold back. She didn't yell, she didn't curse, but her voice was sharp, clear, and full of pain. "Why are you manipulating him?" she asked. "Why are you controlling how he sees me? You're not his mother. You're not his wife. You're not even in the music. So why are you deciding who gets access to him?" Angela, reportedly, was shocked. She didn't see it as manipulation. To her, she was helping Yo Gotti heal. She believed she was guiding him toward peace, away from the toxicity of rap feuds and ego battles. She told GloRilla she wasn't trying to cut her off. She was trying to protect his mental health. But GloRilla wasn't buying it. "You don't get to decide what's toxic," she said. "I've been in the game longer than you've been meditating. And if he doesn't want to work with me, let him say it. Don't hide behind crystals and chakras." The call lasted nearly 20 minutes. No screaming, no hanging up. Just raw, unfiltered emotion. GloRilla wasn't angry at Angela as a person. She was angry at the role she'd taken on. The quiet power. The behind-the-scenes influence. The way she reframed a professional rift as a spiritual necessity. And Angela, for her part, was stunned. She didn't see herself as a villain. She saw herself as a healer. But in that moment, she realized healing doesn't happen in a vacuum. And when you start telling powerful men who they can and can't speak to, you're not just guiding energy, you're controlling a career. After the call, Angela reportedly sat in silence for hours. She later told a close friend, "I thought I was helping. I didn't think I was cutting her off. But the damage was done. Because whether intentional or not, the message had been sent." GloRilla was no longer welcome in Yo Gotti's inner circle. Not because of music, not because of loyalty, but because she didn't align with his new energy. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about hating Angela. She's a successful entrepreneur, a wellness advocate, and a one who's worked hard to build her brand. And Yo Gotti has every right to surround himself with people who support his peace. But the danger lies in the unseen power, the quiet whispers, the private advice, the way spirituality can sometimes be used as a tool to exclude, not include. GloRilla didn't attack Angela out of jealousy. She called her out of survival. Because in hip-hop, access is everything. And when someone quietly cuts off your access, not with a fight, but with a mantra, it's harder to fight back. And let's not pretend this isn't bigger than two women. This is about who gets to shape the narrative. About how Black women in entertainment are often pitted against each other. One labeled aggressive, the other enlightened, when both are just trying to survive in a male-dominated industry. GloRilla fights with her voice. Angela fights with her energy, but both are fighting for space, for respect, for control over their influence. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. In the world of hip-hop, especially for Black women, safety isn't just about physical security. It's about emotional sovereignty. It's about control over your environment. It's about not being placed in situations where you have to armor up just to exist. GloRilla has spent her career proving she's not just a rapper, she's a force, a leader, a woman who speaks her truth without apology. And being placed in a position where she had no choice, no warning, no exit. That felt like a power play, even if it wasn't intentional. She stayed the weekend, out of respect for Angela, out of professionalism, but sources say she barely spoke to anyone outside her inner circle. She meditated alone, ate in her room, and when the group did sound healing on Sunday morning, she was there, eyes closed, face calm, but sources say she wasn't chanting for peace. She was chanting for strength, for clarity, for the power to walk away from spaces that no longer serve her. As for Yo Gotti, he said nothing. He didn't provoke, he didn't engage, but his presence spoke volumes. Whether intentional or not, his being there sent a message. This is my circle too. And in the game of perception, that's everything. Because in celebrity culture, access is power. And the fact that he was welcomed, while GloRilla was blindsided, says more than any interview ever could. So what happens next? Silence for now. But silence doesn't mean peace. It means the storm is brewing. Will GloRilla address it? Will Angela apologize? Will this quietly fade? Or will it ignite something bigger? One thing is clear, in the age of image, trust is everything. And when that trust is broken, even in the name of family, the fallout can be silent, deep, and long-lasting. Drop a like if you believe celebrities deserve safe spaces, no surprises. Comment. Protect the peace if you think both sides need to communicate better. And if you've ever walked into a room and felt instantly on edge, you understand what GloRilla went through.